Hi and welcome to Nip Tuck Not Giving Her. She doesn't swear. We have got...
I do, but never on camera. I'm well trained.
No. So we have got literally, I would say, one of my idols in today. I'm like a little puppy. I'm so excited to talk to you. So we've got the amazing Nadine Baggott in. I have literally been obsessed with you for years, Nadine.
Were you skiving off school watching me on This Morning?
15
years ago.
And my dad used to get the Times on a Sunday, and whenever your edit was in, I would be like, right, what are we getting here? So Nadine is not only a TV presenter, would you call yourself an influencer?
I guess I kind of am. I always joke that I'm the oldest influencer in town, but I've been a journalist since I left university. And so I've worked across magazines, newspapers, then I segued into television, back into newspapers. And then probably about 8 years ago, I started my YouTube channel.
Yes.
And then obviously YouTube to Instagram, and then back to the Times and This Morning.
So journalist is how you started off.
Yeah, I'm deep down inside, I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
I'm just nosy.
Yeah. So tell us about your journey then. How did it all begin?
So I left university and kind of didn't know what I wanted to do.
What did you do at uni?
So I did, actually I've got a BSc in psychology and sociology. I know, right,
wow.
Okay. And I came out thinking I didn't want to do 9 to 5, but I wasn't really sure. And at the time, you were really lucky. You could go and work for a temping agency, lie, pretend you could type and file. I couldn't do any of that stuff. I was useless. And I actually got a job on a magazine, not a glamorous magazine at all.
What was
and
it?
So it was a magazine called British Printer, which is just a trade magazine. But I rocked in and I thought, ooh,
yeah,
okay, I get this. This is being a journalist. They sent me back to university when I did a postgraduate it was sort of like a postgraduate short course. It was like a 6-month course in print journalism. And I repaid them by handing in my notice 6 months later and going to a women's magazine, because obviously that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
At a time when women's magazines were the Bible, like people lived and breathed women's magazines. And it's hard to imagine now because people don't really read magazines anymore. And then I went from there to the Daily Mail, which is where I learned to be a really proper journalist. And then while I was there, I started working on This Morning. So I've kind of, it's a cliche, but it's that Bethany Frankel always come from a place of yes. So whatever anybody asks me to do, I go, yes,
yes,
yes.
yes.
And then you end up being a multi-hyphenate, essentially.
Amazing. And then with beauty, did you just love beauty from the beginning?
So when you go to work on magazines, I worked at a company called IPC, which was 29 floors of women that looked like you. It was just, if you were a single guy, my God, you've never seen so many beautiful women in your life. And I thought, I was working in features and news, and I thought, what departments have the most fun? And there's fashion, and they're a little bit cold and aloof. And then there's the beauty women, and I just thought that's the best mix of art and science, because I love science, I've got a science degree, but I love art. And then I thought, beauty, that's where it's at. So I made the move into beauty, and then I just thought, that's it, I found my niche, I love it. And It really is the perfect blend of art and science.
Yeah.
Like the combination of, I worked at Hello and I interviewed celebrities for years, and then you'd be styling a shoot, and then you'd go behind a lab and you'd watch a retinol being made or an SPF being tested. And I just loved that blend. And that's when I knew I'd found my true love in life.
And with makeup then, because there's so many aspects of beauty, isn't there? I mean, we've just had a chat and we've already spoken about skincare, fragrance, hair.
Facelifts, celebrities, press trips.
All the things. So would you say there's one area that you are most passionate about, or is it all?
I love all of beauty, but I'm most interested in skincare that really works. And I think what's really interesting is, having done what I've done for 30 years, I've kind of sorted through, I've seen behind the velvet rope, right? I've been invited to the inside. So I know about marketing hype and I know about what works. And so I'm quite passionate and also I've got older in the industry. So I've kind of, you become quite skeptical as you get older. And I'm like, right, okay, I've tried that didn't work, what worked? And then so I think my aim in life is basically just to hold my followers' hands and my viewers' hands and my listeners' hands and my readers' hands and just go, come on, we can do this. I'll be your eyes and ears and I'll tell you what works.
Amazing. And then just also like simplifying things
Yes.
for people.
Because I tell you, I know it's hard for you to imagine, Ashley, but when I first started as a journalist was around the time you were born. And I'm not kidding you. Chanel would launch 2 collections a year with like 4 things in. And now even I go to Boots and I'm like, where did that brand come from?
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, it's another celebrity brand. I just feel like the market is drenched. There's just too much noise going on. And sometimes you can almost see your followers and your listeners and viewers going,
Yeah.
like, I just don't know what to do. I can't do. So it's my job, I think, to kind of sort through all the noise and go, come on, we can simplify this. I'll show you what works.
That is honestly why I absolutely love you. And I
Well, it's a little bit like you
Yeah.
guiding somebody's hand through a surgical journey
Yeah.
or an aesthetic journey. You know, that's your specialist area.
Yeah.
And it always will be your specialist area.
Yeah.
And by the time you're my age, you know, there would be people out there that, you know, you'll have forgotten more than they'll ever know.
I know. I think it's so hard, isn't it? When we've got TikTok now. Are you on TikTok much?
My team are desperate for me to do TikTok because they want me
You'd
to shop
be
on TikTok shop.
fabulous on
I've got a
TikTok.
little following on TikTok, but I do like long form content though.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got your YouTube channel
my
and then your
YouTube
Instagram
channel, and then I've got my
reels.
Instagram.
Yeah, but you can do a 10-minute TikTok.
Will anybody watch it?
They will.
Will they?
They will.
Okay.
The one scary thing though about TikTok.
My management team are listening to this going, yes,
Get
actually,
Nadine on
go
TikTok.
for it.
So your Instagram handle is at
It's
Nadine.
I think it might be Nadine Baggott 1 or the Nadine Baggott or something.
We will
like that.
confirm
We'll find
at
it.
the end. We will
The fact that I
find it.
don't know speaks volumes.
So give her a follow, everyone. And honestly, the content is unbelievable.
But on Instagram, it's just at Nadine Baggott because it's the ugliest name in the world and there's only one of me. It's true. The only reason I'm not that on TikTok is because some bugger's stolen my handle.
already.
Yeah.
So TikTok, I just think now, you know, I go on there and obviously my algorithm is like surgery, skincare, something random. And I'm seeing these young girls doing like a 12-step skincare routine, then, you know, using all these different beauty tech devices on
Yeah.
top, probably amounting to like thousands of pounds. And obviously they look perfect. And I just think you shouldn't be using that ingredient next to that ingredient. And then you're seeing people, I've tried this and now I've got perioral dermatitis.
I had it for years as a beauty editor. I get it. I think the thing I dislike about TikTok is I think it's the obvious fake nature of most content. Because if you're 21, the chances are, unless you've got acne, you're going to have perfect skin anyway. And that's sort of a 12-step morning shed. It's all ridiculous. Also, I hate to say this, and I always say this the whole time, but at 21, you should just be worried about going out, getting drunk and having loads of inappropriate sex. I'm sorry,
So
but you should.
true.
You really should. Because by the time you're my age, you're going to need all the help. But just burn the candle at both ends and have fun.
Yeah, definitely.
If I can give one bit of advice to my younger self is know how gorgeous you are in that moment and just have fun. Enjoy life because life is short. And you, in a blink of an eye, you'll be my age. And I have friends who are older than me. I've got a really good friend. I've got a couple of really good friends now who are in their late 70s and early 80s that are really like multi-millionaire brand founders. And I just, 10 years ago, they would just go to me, for God's sake, Nadine, stop worrying about your stretch marks and your cellulite. Just work it. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. And it's true. You'll never know. You'll never be as young as you are right now in this moment. And just always remember that. And so forget all of that. It's ridiculous. And also, and I can't believe I'm even saying this because I am an inveterate, and I have been an inveterate sunbather my whole life until I became a beauty editor. I became a beauty editor around the time I was about 31 or 32. That's 20 years of serious sunbathing. The only thing you really need to do is wear an SPF. If you really want to stop your skin aging, just protect it from the sun every day.
Yeah.
It's very unsexy, but it's true.
It is so true. SPF, everyone.
We were talking about Catherine Ryan. Amazing skin,
The
right?
best skin
Because she
we've
never goes in
ever
the sun.
seen.
She thinks she's allergic to the sun,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Beauty treatments.
Right.
Tell me your favourite beauty treatments.
Always neuromodulators, aka Botox. Always neuromodulators.
It gives you glass skin.
Yeah. And don't judge the face because I'm having my Botox done on Monday. I did try to have it done last Monday in preparation for you, Ashley, but I couldn't book in time. Now, I've lived through a time when treatments didn't exist, right? So I remember when people were injecting the very first neuromodulators. I remember when Botox was launched. I remember when they were doing bovine collagen in people, and then when hyaluronic acid was launched. And I think I've tried some things. I tend not to jump on a bandwagon really quickly. I like other people to be human guinea pigs, not me. Sit back and watch. It's a wise lesson, that is.
Yeah.
But I think if I could choose two, I would choose Botox maybe twice a year, baby Botox, because I'm on daytime TV, so I've got to be expressive. I can't have an immobile face. And I think when you're my age, to have an immobile upper face and a slightly aging lower face doesn't work. There's a disconnect. And then I do like a little bit of Fraxel laser. I do like to burn off my old sun damage. Those years spent in the south of France wearing a white string bikini. That needs all lasering off by the time you're my age. And I do think a little bit of Fraxel laser is lovely.
Yeah.
What about you?
I absolutely love polynucleotides at
Do
the minute.
you?
Yeah, but you have to keep up.
Yeah.
Have to keep
It's too
it
high
up.
maintenance. I think it's the modern Profilo.
Honestly.
I love Profilo and I love the plumping effect, but 2 weeks later it's gone.
No,
So
I
it's
think
seriously high maintenance.
I do think that some skin boosters tend to hang around a bit. I noticed that,
Well,
actually.
they do at your age.
Yeah.
By the time you're my age, trust me, your natural hyaluronidase is just going like, let's eat this out.
It made me a bit... Well, we've just been talking. So basically, me and Nadine met at the Space NK
Christmas party. When I stalked you because I wanted your jacket.
Yes, I had a Source Unknown blazer on, and she literally made a beeline and was like, "Where from?"
Everything about you is fabulous. Where do I get this? That's what I said.
So anyway, we met there, and then we got talking about my facelift as well. And you were like, 34 facelift, no way. And yeah, as I explained, years of filler. And it's crazy because you've just come in, you've just turned 60 last year.
I'm 63. When does this go out? I'll be 63 in July the 7th.
Wow.
But this is very interesting, you see, because I've been very, very conservative in my treatments.
So this is what I was
And
just
I have
about to
had the
say.
full facelift filler thing.
Yeah.
That
The
filler
7-point lift.
No,
or
I had
whatever.
I had 10 mils stuck
Yeah.
in my face in a hotel room by a doctor that wouldn't come back when it went horribly wrong and dissolve it all. She wasn't even
What?
licensed to treat me, I realised. That's what a beauty editor does for you
What
when you're
happened?
gullible. It's very interesting. So in a young face, filler is held back by your naturally thick, deep collagen and elastin. But as you get older, and if you've got very poor lymphatic drainage, which I have, and slightly crepey skin, the filler basically pops through. So it becomes lumpy and bumpy and
Visible.
horrible. And I had this facelift filler thing, which is basically where you're just held down. And she basically did all this work on my face, and then 2 weeks later it started migrating and moving
Nadine.
all around my eyes in really big lumps. And I basically
Was it terrifying?
it was really scary. And I basically looked, so what happens is the filler was like migrating up, so my eyes looked really deep and my eyes were closing and stuff like that. And I had to go back to my old aesthetic doctor, a really lovely lady called
Tail
Dr.
in
Frances
between
Prenner
your
Jones.
legs, yeah.
Tail between my legs going, can you dissolve it? So she basically hyaluronidased the whole
and was
lot.
it okay afterwards?
And it was so much better. But as a result, I've always been worried about filler. And then to hear you 15 years later talk about, even with young, firm skin, so it affects you in a different way. It sort of basically
Holds
stretches your
water.
envelope.
Yeah.
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 And then once it's done that, and then it gets shrunk back again, then you end up with lax skin of somebody probably in their late 40s, even though you're in your early 30s. And that's scary.
Really scary.
And I'm not saying that filler is a bad thing.
No.
And we shall talk about this, have you ever had a full face MRI and looked at your filler in your face?
I'd hate to do that.
Well, I was really shocked. So I went to see a surgeon to have my upper and lower eyes done. And he said to me, well, you're in the public eye, and before I work on you, I need to know if you've got any filler, because filler can...
It hangs around.
George will tell you this, right? He doesn't like doing facelifts with filler in it now. He dissolves it all before he does facelifts. This is George Offaniotis, who is an amazing surgeon who I love, that I do, events with and stuff like that. And so basically this oculoplastic surgeon said to me, I'm not working on you till I know you've got filler. And I went, I haven't had filler for years. So I had a full face MRI, it cost me £1,000. I've still got so much filler left in my face.
From that treatment?
It lasts for so much longer than you ever think possible. And so when I went back to the oculoplastic surgeon, he said to me, I kind of don't really want to dissolve it. And I said, why? And he went, because I think some of it's doing good work. I could dissolve it around your eyes. Actually, this is what we were saying before we started recording. A lot of people don't want to work on me because I'm on television. And the risk of, and because at my age, and I've got a slightly asymmetrical face, so one eye is higher than the other, and it's like quite a big face, it's not an easy face to work on. And I think that a lot of people are worried about working on me because they think it might go horribly
Big
wrong.
pressure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no
Big
more pressure than
pressure.
on you, but, you know, it's easier to work on somebody with an asymmetrically, classically beautiful face like you and just tighten it than it is on somebody like me. I've got a slightly asymmetrical Eastern European, slightly difficult face. So actually, the older I get, the more I shy away from tweakments.
Yeah, I agree. The thing
But
is,
only because I'm saving up to go and see George to have a facelift.
the thing
As soon
is
as I can
with
take 3
these,
months off.
with these treatments, you know, looking back, I had to reverse all of those treatments that I had been having because I worked in cosmetic surgery. It'd be like the end of a clinic. Hop on the bed.
Yeah,
we've
I've
got
got
half
some
a syringe
syringes.
here.
Stick it in your face.
And I was like, oh, well, it disappears after 6 months.
It does.
We were all told that, though, Nadine, weren't we? We were all told that.
The studies coming out of Australia.
And it gets bigger.
And I have not had, genuinely, I have not had any filler in my face. And when the MRI came back, in fact, I tell you what I should do, right? If I can, I need to supply you the video and you should drop it in.
Yeah.
And it comes up on an MRI as green. It is shocking how much filler is still in my face.
That's crazy.
And you can tell because when you're fully hydrated, your skin is obviously less lined. But when you've got filler in your face, traces of filler, then if it's not properly distributed, then you end up with these uneven lumps and bumps, more so than you would if you were older.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think filler is a bad thing. I just think you have to be really careful.
No, I think filler's great used in the right way, but just a warning to everyone younger, as you were saying before, you know, back when you were first working, 4 products released from Chanel. Now it's like the same with the treatments coming out. It's absolutely crazy.
And then there's a million gadgets
Threads.
and machines, threads, things that promise to lift your face. So basically, it's very interesting. I did an event with Johnny Bettridge and George the other day, George Offaniotis. And I think it's really interesting because I think that aesthetic treatments skincare can work on the surface layers of the skin. I think aesthetic treatments can change the contours of your face, but nothing can really lift. And all those machines like threads or lasers or radiofrequency microneedling that promise to do this, it just doesn't really work.
And it can go the other way. And it's scary how accessible it is to everyone now.
But so expensive. Also, Ashley, at
It's
the end of the day.
expensive, but if we were sat here now, we could ring and have an appointment in an hour's time down the road.
Buy one, get one free.
Literally. And then 10 years on, we're having to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds perhaps on rectifying that half an hour treatment we walked in and had done.
I was shocked when George said to me, his perfect patient is a slim woman in her late 40s that's never had any work done. Because what he wants, he basically said that when he lifts the skin, he can see everything you've ever had injected under your skin. So he can see the Sculptra, he can see the filler. And he said sometimes he goes, I think he says something like, the shit that's under some of this face. Like, he can literally see it. Even things like Sculptra, so that's that polylactic acid. So the idea behind these is... Biostimulator. So they go into the skin, they irritate the skin slightly, and then you create your own collagen and elastin. But he said he can see it's like little bits of grit all through the face.
It's so scary, and, you know, we're all guilty of it. If someone says, you know, try this, then I'll give it a go. But as you said, now I'm becoming much more aware that these tweakments can impact later on down the line, and I'd rather maybe stand back. But then it's the Wild West out there.
I really think it's massively
beauty,
unregulated,
and it's such a shame on women.
Have you ever been to an aesthetic conference? Like one of the big ones?
No, CCR or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the really big ones like AMWC in the south of France. I mean...
There's one in Monaco, isn't
Yeah, that's
there?
the one.
Yes.
And it is literally... It's the hard sell on these doctors. So they pay £120,000 for a machine that promises the world, and then you get it back into your clinic and it doesn't really deliver. And then they're basically forced to upsell it.
Crazy.
And get their nurse practitioners and their beauty
Pay it
therapists
off.
to use it to pay it off.
Yeah.
And I feel like now bearing in mind, I'm incredibly lucky, right? I get most of my treatments, or I could get any treatment I want for free. And then I just think the times I've had dodgy doctors sort of fake a little bit of a before and after on me.
What? Like Photoshop?
Like the famous bingo wing, right? No, not a Photoshop, but the famous bingo wing, right? So I had a series of M Sculpt on my upper arms because by the time you're my age, you will have.
I do actually quite like
the
M
bingo
Sculpt
wing.
on the tummy.
On you, yes, because you're very young. And so basically I had a whole series of M Sculpt on my arm. So the before pictures, like if you do that, look in the mirror one day, if you do that and then turn your arm, your profile, your profile will change, right? Okay. So in the before and after, I had a whole course of M Sculpt, didn't work on me at all. And then the before and after, you can see my arm is twisted. So it's basically a fake before and after. I once had an aesthetic doctor treat me with some stuff, and she basically came along, she pushed my face down like that to create a crease like that, took the before picture, and then afterwards she went like that. And then you just light somebody differently. It's just, it's the wild, wild west.
So
These are
scary.
big doctors in central London clinics.
It's really scary. And that's why now I will not give one name of one person out. So on our Patreon, we have a list of
it's like
surgeons.
Gold dust.
It is like the list. Honestly, I've just been showing Nadine on my phone. The list is like, yeah, my little black book. And now I say, here's my list of 7 or 8 surgeons for a mummy makeover, say, or lipo, nose, all kinds of things. Go away, do some research, and then make your own decision. Because now you've seen perhaps, well, you may not have seen because I follow different people to you, but I saw a girl from Love Island promoting a breast surgeon in Turkey. She'd had a free boob job and she was tagging the doctor, okay? Then a year later, and I commented on it because I'm very vocal. If I don't agree with something like that, I said, you're very responsible tagging, you know, the doctor in this. And like Kylie Jenner the other day tagged her breast surgeon. What happens if next week someone dies and it's Kylie's breast surgeon? Like, you just don't know. So just always be aware of that. And I actually do think it should be illegal selling plastic surgery that you've not said you got free of charge to followers. But that's a separate conversation. A year later, she sells a story to OK magazine, getting her botched turkey boob job fixed in the UK. And there was no mention of the other. It's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's immoral, and it's immoral on behalf of the surgeons, who are the ones that are really to blame. And I also feel that it's immoral on behalf of the influencers or the celebrities. But I also feel sorry for the women because I know the pressure they're under.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, if you watch Love Island, Love Island's coming back next week. If you watch Love Island, you won't really see a natural looking body. You'll only see a surgically enhanced body. So you're sending a message to millions of young women that that's natural. And then you end up with a whole spiral of self-hate. And it is really hard.
It is really,
you know,
really
just
hard.
like my generation all wanted to look like Kate Moss, which was basically just a whole generation of people starving themselves to be skinny because you could never be rich enough and you could never be thin enough. Nowadays, everybody wants to look like Kylie Jenner.
It's just...
And her Garth Fisher 480cc, half above the meh.
Well, actually, when I read that, she's got the same boob job as me.
Has she?
420
partially under the muscle,
moderate plus
profile.
Yeah. So, but then I worry about stuff like that, whereby someone will go, right, that's it, I'm having my Kylie Jenner boob job.
And it wouldn't work on me.
It wouldn't.
It's crazy. That's when you say to your surgeon, well, what would you recommend? Do you know, I was that close to having a boob job once in LA with a really big surgeon. And have you ever been in one of those 360 cameras?
Yeah.
And this is fascinating. So you've got this 360 camera where you look at yourself and you think you're looking okay, and then you see yourself on a 360 camera.
They're years ahead of us.
And then they basically go, 150 mil?
Yeah.
200 mil? And it's like...
I had the goggles on as well.
Yes,
then
when you look down and see your boobs.
And this was years ago,
Yeah.
and they put these goggles on you and you look down and it's your boobs, but with the
Yes.
boob job.
Yes, I know, right? And the only reason I didn't go was because even though I think they have the best surgeons in the world in LA and New York, I just didn't want to be abroad if anything went wrong, and I kind of chickened out of it. But I had to nag this man to give me the smallest implant in the world. At the time, he was like, nobody has an implant this small, and I want the undetectable no boob job, which is basically
the ballerina boob job.
The ballerina job. I love that. Up to a C cup. Anyway, now I'm kind of like over it. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And as
now
well,
I'm just grateful to have healthy boobs.
No, like there's absolutely no shame in anyone that has anything done.
Oh no, listen, literally no judgment.
The problem is other women on Instagram and TikTok pulling up the pictures of the girls in Love Island and saying, this is what she's had done and that, and they're like, just let it go. It's so, I can't stand it.
I feel always that women can't win. Whatever happens, whatever you do, you'll be judged.
Yeah.
And you'll be judged mainly by other women, which is really worrying.
Really.
So at the end of the day, you have whatever you want. Literally have whatever you want to have done. Just do your research. That's what I say.
I agree.
And go into it reasonably, with a reasonable expectation. So, for example, I've always said to my friends, it's very interesting. I think I've got 3 or 4 friends that have got implants. I've actually got loads more friends that have had reductions. And that is very interesting because that journey is completely different.
Oh, it's
and
a massive
scarring
operation.
Is
Huge. Round,
and yet
down,
the
under.
happiness, the anchor scar.
Yeah.
But the happiness of a reduction is actually bigger than the happiness of an augmentation. Because I think if you've carried literal, physical, metaphorical weight for years, it's horrible. Even to the point where I've seen people with quite bad scarring. I had one friend that lost a nipple. They didn't get, she was still happy she did the operation, which I think is amazing. So I do think that some cosmetic surgery can genuinely be life-changing for people.
Have you ever had any cosmetic surgery, Nadine?
So when I was 35, I was on TV regularly, and it's very interesting. So my whole life I've had puffy eyes. It runs in my family. My dad had them, my mum has them, my sister has them. I've got a niece who's got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old and 1-year-old, and both the little boys wake up with puffy eyes, which is fascinating. Yeah. So basically the puffy eye here. And so what happened was I was on television doing early morning television.
Oh my
and
God.
It would take ages to go back down. And then the lighting guy would come in and they'd start like flicking the lights, and a woman would come out with touche éclat. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And at the time I was working on the Mail, and I interviewed a surgeon who said, I'm one of the first people to do a laser lower transconjunctival blepharoplasty, which basically means having the fat pads, which are hereditary, removed from the inside.
So no scar.
But then all lower bleph is mainly done transconjunctivally at the time.
Yeah.
At the time, nowadays it's all done internally, but in the olden days you used to see this sort of slight scar here. So I had that done when I was 35, and it was the single best thing I'd ever done because it basically took my puffiness away. And then a couple of years ago, I was researching having it done again because obviously it was literally, let me work this out, like 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So obviously you have to, like a facelift, like Kris Jenner, it needs to be done every 10 years. So what had happened was, where I'd had the fat removed, I started to get quite crepey. And I had little remnants of fat before. And then obviously the upper eyes became hooded. So then I started, hence the fact I ended up having a full face of MRI. So then last summer I had an upper and lower bleph again. And this is the first time I've ever said to anybody in public, all my friends know, everybody knows I had it done. And the only reason I actually haven't talked about it is because I'm not happy with it.
Why?
Because I have had fat necrosis under here. So too much fat has been taken away here. So I had some asymmetry, but that's normal. So I've got a dent under here.
I would not notice that, but you notice
you would on your
yourself.
Own face, actually.
Yeah.
And my makeup artist notes
it.
And I need to go back to the surgeon to see what he wants to do about it.
Could you do a fat transfer?
And I think what I need to do, so I'm growing a little pooch, and then I'll basically have fat punched.
I've had that done.
Back in there. But the truth of the matter is, I'd had to take 6 weeks off last summer, because it was virtually a year ago. I had to take 6 weeks off to have it done. And once you recover from that, I've got to kind of get the time off again, and I'm really, really busy to have it done again. The only reason I haven't had a facelift is because I can't take the 6 weeks off. So basically, but
I mean, we could watch every morning Nadine recovering from a facelift. I think everyone would love that.
When somebody says to you, am I ready for a facelift? I always say, if you start doing this in the mirror, trust me.
We've just been doing
We've literally been talking about it. So basically, I've got a dent under here that basically needs a little bit of fat transfer. And then I'm in 2 minds. So I go back to my original surgeon, who, by the way, is the OG of ocular plastic surgeon. He's the most famous ocular plastic surgeon in the UK.
I know who you're talking about.
But Interestingly enough, I think if you're going to go to a surgeon, my advice would be to go to somebody around 45. And I tell you why, because they're old enough to know what they're doing, but they're young enough to be humble enough to learn new techniques. And what I really should have had is I shouldn't just have had the fat taken away. I should have had the fat transfer across. Yeah. And so now I want to go and see a guy called Nick Koutramanos, who is the best ocular plastic surgeon, I think, in the UK and specialises in asymmetrical eyes. And I think I need to have some downtime to have a little bit of fat punched back into there.
Honestly, Nadine, the fat transfer under eyes, I'll show you some pictures. They went,
Isn't she the best? She's had everything done and I love her for it.
Through, they say that inner thigh fat is the best for under eyes. Right. But I'm sure they'd have time to take some more away if you wanted. So
I just microdose some Manjaro if I'm going to lose some weight.
Yeah, you can have it done awake as well, but I can't do things awake.
I need intravenous Valium for everything.
Yeah. Then they went through here. Do you remember? I didn't even need time.
They went through there and up with a cannula.
They went through there and up with a cannula and feathered it in. Eyes are so difficult.
Eyes genuinely are the windows to the soul, and it's very interesting because
to age.
They are the first thing to age. And I've got crepey skin under my eyes, and I actually don't mind the crepey skin. I could do with a little bit of laser resurfacing, but what I really want is just to get rid of that dent under there. But the upper eyes I'm completely happy with. And I wake up in the morning and I don't look tired.
Scar.
No, yeah, there's a scar here.
Do you think eye cream works?
No.
I say this all the time.
The beauty industry shot itself in the foot when it created serums. So eye creams were originally formulated for a world where you had a fairly heavy moisturiser and a fairly heavy night cream, and you couldn't take a heavy cream around your eyes. So that made sense, right? So basically,
it was a thinner.
Eye cream at the time was a lighter formula, less occlusive with all the actives in it, right? Or not so many actives back in the day. Then they launched serums, and the minute you launch a serum, I use every one of my serums around my eyes. I use a 15% vitamin C serum around my eye every morning.
SkinCeuticals?
I use all my peptides around my eyes, and at night I use all my retinaldehyde around my eyes.
Well, whatever you're doing.
So whatever you need to do. No, because my eyes are a problematic area. Look, I've got smiles. I'm a 62, nearly 63-year-old woman. If you're my age and you don't have any lines around your eyes, it's because you've got a lot of work going on, or you've had a lot of, skin removed or stuff like that. It doesn't really bother me. I quite like my smile lines.
One eye cream that I will tell you that I believe, honestly, I've used everything. AQ Solutions eye cream, and it's a stem cell eye serum. So I actually just use it in that whole area there.
But if they do a face serum, you'd be able to use the face serum.
They do a face serum.
So it'd be the same thing.
Guys.
And sometimes the active levels...
more expensive for the eye cream.
Sometimes the active levels in the face cream or the face serum are higher than in the eye serum because the eye is a sensitive area. Yeah. But I mean, a bit of irritation, schmirritation, just slap it on all over. I tell you what else I think. I think that two sort of addendums to me saying eye creams don't work. Caffeine eye solutions work if you've got puffy eyes and
for
it's
immediate
not fat.
What would you recommend? Which brand?
So I genuinely think like the Inky List or Charlotte Tilbury's got one with a little cooling metal head on it, but you don't have to spend loads of money. So it's just basically the caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, so it constricts the blood vessels, so it pushes the lymph out in the morning.
Thomas Roth
one. Yeah. But you don't, I mean, the Inky List has got one. And then I think if you do genuinely have sensitive eyelids, I think then you can think about having the eye equivalent of a retinol or the eye equivalent of a vitamin C, because it will be a lower dose.
I do love an under eye patch as well.
And then temporarily, those little occlusive under eye patches.
Brilliant.
If I was to put one of those under my eyes, and I did it once on live TV, did a Visio machine, showed the lines, did it. It's only temporary. It's basically occluding the skin, and it's temporary.
If I'm going
Have you ever slept in one of those collagen sleep masks?
Yeah.
That
brilliant.
I mean, I'd like to say I look like you afterwards, but I almost look as good as you, Ashley. It took like 20 years off me. Then obviously by the end of the day, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you've got transepidermal water loss. But they absolutely work, those old school
I have them on
masks.
all the time. A sheet mask, an under eye mask. If I'm going out, I'll keep them on all day and soak them up, and then I'll whip them off. And yeah, they work. They're great for, if you've been out the night before or you've not slept properly. Or even
pre-live TV.
They're
when
brilliant.
I always use them. They're brilliant.
They are so
What
good.
do you think of gadgets? Let's go back to gadgets.
Okay, so
and by that we mean like things you can use at home.
At home, yes. Yeah. I love my Zip Halo.
Yeah, at your age it works. At my age it doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, afraid so. Nothing's lifting this face apart from a surgeon.
Honestly, it gets
And I
rid
also-
of my water retention.
And I was literally going to say
It's
the one thing it
fabulous.
does is really good lymphatic drainage.
Really good lymphatic
So if you wake up with a puffy face or a puffy
That's what I
jawline
say.
and you know it's puffy and you know it's water, because if it's water by the end of the day it's gone, and if it's not at the end of the day you need proper intervention. My friends who are between the ages of 35 and late 40s love their Zip Halo.
The Zip
Love their
Halo
Zip
is a
Halo.
must, and I use it on my lips to plump them. But it works for a short
Yeah.
period. I love my current body LED mask.
Yeah, you see, I don't mind the glow, but I can't comply. I can't use that for 10 minutes every day.
I don't mind. It's in my bedside drawer, along with a few other things that made me glow.
And they definitely do work.
And they definitely.
If I had to choose, I'd choose the latter rather than the former.
And I just make sure that I put it on. Do you know? Also, Nadine was saying about my hair.
It's looking so good.
Thank
Ashley.
you. And after 3 kids close together, it all fell
of
out.
course.
I had about that much hair at one point. Do you remember, Christina? It was so sad, but I was like, I am on a hair mission. So I use my mask and then I bob it up on top of
on
my
your
head.
scalp. Yeah, of course.
So it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
So I can. Also, it's nice having that. It's my
It's your
piss
downtime,
off
your me
everyone.
time. Yeah.
The light is on.
It's the modern equivalent of locking yourself in the toilet, isn't it? When your children are outside going, "Mummy, mummy, mummy."
I love my infrared sauna blanket.
Yes.
That was really good for after babies when I couldn't leave the house.
Yeah.
And I love an infrared sauna. People have got different opinions on them. I do get that glow after I've been on there.
I would say by the time you're my age, so anybody who's watching this, I am definitely old enough to be Ashley's mum. I think you need something slightly more ratchet up. I do think the Neera laser works.
Really?
Yeah, I do think the Neera laser works.
It's so expensive.
It is expensive, but it's not expensive for
much
Lima,
is
and
it?
Lima's a con.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I thought you were talking about Lima. That's like
Neera.
$2,500, right?
No, Neera, Nira. And
Right.
it's a non-ablative laser that heats up your skin.
At home?
Yeah. And it's really, really good. And the Neera Plus is the best one. And then Current Body also have a radio frequency device.
I've got it and it's fabulous.
And I think that's really
Have
good.
you used that radio frequency device with after the microneedling patches?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really that much of a fan of microneedling patches.
So, but what it did do was then I used the calcium stem cells.
Yes.
Have you tried them?
No.
Fantastic.
I'm very sceptical about stem cells.
They stink, but after I've used
Where
it,
are the stem cells coming from?
maybe deer placenta, I've heard. I'm probably making that up. I don't know.
I don't think the plant
Yeah.
stem cells work.
No, well,
I'm very
Have you
sceptic-
tried the anti-age stem cells?
No.
They're human stem cells.
Yeah, well, you can't do that. That's illegal.
It's not. They're from. Again, don't quote me on this, but I did ask that question because I was like, plant. Bleh. No, we want.
Yeah.
We want the good stuff, and the stem cells are from Orlando, and they are from athletes' blood that has all been tested, and they know what they've given it up for.
It's still illegal.
I'm
It's
pretty sure.
It's still illegal. I'm
pretty sure.
I think it's very left field.
But I do think we're
Ashley.
going to be seeing a lot more.
Let's put it like that.
I've been watching TikTok too much, haven't I?
I feel that this trend for skincare ingredients that have been used in aesthetics, like for example PDRN, which
NAD
is
plus.
salmon NAD plus, perfect case in point, exosomes, stem cells. I think the jury is out. And I think if you're going to spend some money, then, yeah, if it's the Inky list, great. But if you're going to spend £250, you're better off just having a little bit of Botox.
Agree.
For
You know it's going to work.
£250, you know it's going to work.
Yeah. Okay, you've lost your makeup bag. This is our favourite question
Yeah, go on.
to ask a beauty expert. You've lost your makeup bag, Nadine. Skincare we'll do separately. We're just talking about makeup now. What are you going to rebuy?
I would always buy a Borean BB cream. I absolutely love it.
That's what you tried on the train.
Absolutely love it. For me, and it doesn't come in enough shades, which is annoying because it's Korean skincare with Parisian makeup artistry, and I just really like it. I've got it on today.
And it's got SPF in it.
And it's got an SPF, but not enough, people.
20, isn't it?
30. I would always buy some sort of flat Wonder Skin Beauty Pie Wonder, those uber-lucent white powders that aren't quite matte. So I'm not as glowy as you, but I'm also not completely matte. It gives you a sort of eggshell finish, which is really flattering if you're my age. I would buy, I'm a L'Oreal Paris kind of Maybelline mascara person. I wouldn't buy expensive mascara. And then I would buy some sort of neutral eye palette because I quite like matte eyes, because by the time you're my age, you're a bit crepey. And I would buy something like a sort of Bobbi Brown or a MAC pick and choose.
The Natasha Denona ones.
Natasha Denona.
Very nice.
Absolutely perfect.
And it's got all the colours.
I don't need like 80 shades. I don't need nakeds because I'm never going to use that. Yeah. I'm literally going to use like 5 shades. And MAC do a really good palette where you can just pick and choose the ones you want. And then so you'd have a brown eyeliner. I think this one is CoverGirl from America. And then you put a brown eyeshadow over the top and then a taupe in the shade just to kind of knock back your hoods, although I don't have hoods anymore now. Glossier Boy Brow, I really like. And then for lips, I love what's that Yves Saint Laurent called?
Yves Saint Laurent Candy, is it? Candy something. And it's a lipstick, but it's a
gloss.
Hybrid gloss. Yeah. And they come in and it makes your lips look bigger.
And they were the first people that ever did it, and then everybody copied them. So L'Oreal Paris have duped them, and it's like NARS Afterglow Glow Lip Balm.
Yes.
Choose that one. Perfect. That's what I want. Really low maintenance. Never use a setting spray. Never use a primer. I'm not that generation. Look at your face. Pull your chin up off the floor, Ashley. Nobody my generation ever used a primer or a setting spray.
Are we being conned?
If you've got an oily skin and your skin has a tendency to shed because you're producing sebum, or if you're literally going to Glastonbury or going to a club at 10 o'clock at night and you're not going to get home until 6 a.m. and you plan on coming back at 6 o'clock with a sexy man and having sex, yes. But I'm not doing that.
No.
I used to. It's not anymore. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think... Yeah. And I mean... I've come out today, and I think because I knew I was going to be on camera, I've got my makeup bag. But normally I do my makeup in the morning and I don't even carry my makeup bag with me.
No.
I'm kind of over looking at myself. When you get to my age, you are a bit over yourself.
You shouldn't be, Nadine. Shouldn't be. Skincare, you have lost your wash bag, your
my house has burnt
bag.
to the ground because I can't tell you, on the top floor of my house I could open a shop, obviously, because I get everything for free. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that shortly.
I would buy 2 cleansers. I wouldn't spend money on a cleanser. I would buy the ordinary glycolipid cream cleanser for getting rid of makeup.
Cleanser.
No, glycolipid. Ooh. Glycolipid is a cream cleanser for removing makeup with a microfiber cloth. And then I would use kind of just a really nice gel cleanser in the shower in the morning, something like CeraVe Hydrating Gel Cleanser. Perfect. I would then... Okay. I have used C. Frulig, vitamin C, from SkinCeuticals for 20 years, as long as it's been around.
So expensive, Nadine.
But the license is coming to an end, and I would probably buy a dupe, so I would probably buy Timeless.
I've got, is that the one in the orange bottle?
Yeah.
It's on my list of things to buy. Everyone's
Drunk Elephant duped it first. But the license for the formulation is coming to an end, and I met the man that formulated that, and it is truly the most researched.
Yeah,
it's truly the most researched vitamin C
the way that
on the
it's
market.
Absorbed is,
and it's all about the pH. So what companies do is they come along, and then instead of doing it at 3.5, which is an acidic pH, they do it at 3.6 or something, 3.7, and then they can dupe it. So there are 2, the Geek and Gorgeous or Timeless, that basically have duped it. I would probably use one of those, and I would use that every single day. I do like a peptide. I love a peptide, and I love a peptide concoction. And I'll tell you exactly what I've got on today. I've got number 7 Future Renew, which I love, which is 2 unique peptides. And then I've got the new Medicate New Advanced Peptides MP, which I love.
I've been sent that. Is that in the dark?
It's milky in the black bottle.
Yes,
and it's just really, really nice. And then on top of that, so I'm putting my money in my actives. And then on top of that, I would just use a moisturiser, and it doesn't really matter which one I would use. So I love something for sensitive skin because I suffer from perioral dermatitis occasionally. So I would use something like a Ven Tolerance Plus, something Tolerance Control, something like that.
For barrier
repair. And then with an SPF, I want something super, super, super light. So if I'm going to wear an SPF and I'm out a lot during the day, I would skip the moisturiser and use an Avène SPF, like Invisible Sensitive Skin
Not tried
SPF
that.
50. Lovely, doesn't sting your eyes at all. Or something like Biore Aqua Riche Watery Essence SPF 50. Again, you just replace your moisturiser and use them. And then at night, cleanse with the cream cleanser with a microfiber cloth, which is essentially a technical way of doing a double cleanse. And then I have to go in with some sort of retinoid. I have tried prescription skincare and I cannot comply. The pilling, I can't get over it.
No, not when you're on TV
And
as
not-
well.
yeah.
It's too much. I'm the same.
So basically what happens is I can't comply. I pill, it peels.
Yeah,
And
it
I
all
actually don't
sticks.
think my skin is kind of bad enough to
No.
warrant a prescription skincare. Every dermatologist out there is dying now at me saying this. But I think unless you've got melasma, acne, really bad sun damage, which I'm lucky enough I don't really have. So then I do a retinaldehyde, and I do love the Medik8 Crystal retinaldehyde, and I do the 24, which is the strongest you can get over the
Jeez
market.
Louise.
And I
I'm
put that
on
all
like
round,
the 6.
I put that all around my
maybe.
eyes.
Wow.
Down my neck, on my chest.
It's
I have
fabulous.
no sensitivity. And there's one other Australian brand, which is Go-To, which is a 0.25%, which is even cheaper. So yeah, that's what I would probably do.
Love this.
And then that's it.
That's it.
No mess, no fuss. Spend your money on your vitamin C, your peptides, and your retinol, your moisturisers, your cleansers. Save your money.
Have you tried Cosmetic Consult yet?
I have. And can I just say the little sachets just turned up the other day. And now this is how I use them. And this is what I love about your whole concept of a brand, right? I know this is hard to believe because I feel like I've just gone through a 25-step routine, but it's a relatively basic routine for what I do for a living. But every so often, I just like a quick fix. I just want a glycolic cream to make me look like a little bit more like you. Or I just want an exfoliating wipe when I realise that actually maybe I've missed a couple of days, or I've gone to bed really late, or I've worn too much TV, and I just need a one-stop quick fix. And that's what I keep your products for. When I look at my face and I just think, I need help, what do I do? I need an emergency.
They are great.
I actually can't have a facial.
Yeah.
What's the closest I can get to a facial in a sachet, in a jar? That's when I'm with you.
I think they're great for aeroplanes as well.
Yeah, totally.
So packing in your travel bag. Now, I did shamelessly send Nadine a box, obviously. When I met her, I was like, please tell us about your PR. Do people have your address?
Yes.
And you don't know where the hell they've got it from? Do you arrive? I get that. Have you not had that yet,
Well,
Nadine?
are you not on like Fashion Monitor or Diary Directory with your address? That's how they find it.
No, I've only, it may be
As a
people
journalist,
move on and
I've been self-employed, so I haven't been actually employed by. I mean, I work for the BBC, I work for ITV, I work for Murdoch, I work for News UK, but none of these people actually employ me. Like, I'm self-employed, so I've always worked from home. So I always have a dedicated room
for your PR.
in my for all of my press samples, for my for where I set up and I film and all that sort of stuff. And it's
a lot.
chocker. It's a lot. And then I have a really good friend that started a charity called Beauty Banks. And then Sally Hughes and Joe Jones created Beauty Banks. And then basically she comes round every 3 months and I fill up the car and she takes it away and then just donates it to charities.
Brilliant.
Because it has to go somewhere.
It has
I'm
to.
never
It
going to use it all.
expires.
If I get sent an acne range or a teen range, I'm never going to use it. So it has to go to a good home.
How do you test stuff out then and keep your skin so gorgeous?
Well, bearing in mind I have had perioral dermatitis as a journalist.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I don't have facials now. Like I have
Too
belt,
much.
I have belt and braces. Like if I need numbing cream, I'm in.
Yeah.
But I don't really do like pampering essential oil based. I can't use really much fragrance on my skin, and I can't use essential oils on my skin at all. So I don't really do that pampering facial anymore.
It's
because it gave me
pointless, yeah.
Well, it feels nice, but it gave me perioral dermatitis. So I have to be really careful. But in terms of, I will always test a new vitamin C. I'll always test a new retinoid. I'll always test a nice new sunscreen. I'll always test a nice new moisturizer and stuff like that. But it has to kind of be from what I call a derm brand or a dermatology brand. It has to be serious about its actives. So I don't really do sort of fussy, expensive, overpriced skincare at all. Fragrances, I just donate them every so often and give them away.
Favorite fragrance?
The most recent one I absolutely loved that was launched, and it really shocked me, was I absolutely loved Glossier You Do.
Yes, I got that from
The white
Space
one.
NK, the white one.
It's beautiful.
It's very fresh. It's very light.
But it's also got a very sexy sort of dry down undertow. It's what I call a nuzzle scent. So it seems really light on the surface, but actually deep down inside it's quite a nuzzle scent. It's a little bit musky and it's a little bit sort of green. And it's very, very nice. So that's my most recent one that I really love. My favourite fragrance for other people to wear, and I do keep it for special occasions, is Frederic Malle Portrait of a Lady. I absolutely love it. I just think it's a signature.
That's my favourite
Stop
perfume.
somebody
I've got it on
in
today.
the street. And I will literally walk up to somebody in the street
Portrait.
and almost start dry humping them. Val Garland wears it, the makeup
call
artist.
it the sexy MILF perfume.
It's
and I
just
say, because everyone
unbelievable.
says to me, Ashley, what perfume do you wear? And I say, you're not allowed to buy it if you're under 30, should we say?
No, I would
You're
say
not.
40. You're young.
Like,
You're young to smell that hot.
honestly,
It's very dirty.
hot.
I love it.
It's hot, it's sexy, it's gorgeous. And Christina always takes a piss out of me.
But
What
then
are you wearing? Cause
I'm
she
not
goes,
sure Christina would like it because she gets the headache, the perfume
The
headache.
perfume. It is a perfume headache, yes. And she always says, Portrait of a Lady.
Because it's so posh.
Yeah, it's a posh
But it's
smell.
an absolute classic, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fragrance, and I think it's been perfectly concocted.
Yeah.
So I have that, and then I would have, what else do I like? I'm wearing another from Le Labo today, which I really like,
Love
which was created
Le
for a
Labo.
magazine. I like some of the Byredo fragrances.
Have you tried Vanilla Antique?
No, but I'm not really a vanilla person.
It is.
Was it
honest.
good?
If you like Portrait,
Really? Okay, so if you like Portrait, have you ever smelt Diptyque? They've basically got a dupe for it. What's it called? I'm going to need you to remember, and then Ashley's going to have to put it underneath. Eau Capitale by Diptyque. It's a more daytime version of Portrait of a Lady, so it'd be perfect for you.
We're going
Or perfect
to
when
Space
you're with
NK.
Christina.
We're going to
Yeah.
Space NK.
So it's basically called Eau Capitale by Diptyque, and it's gorgeous. Really lovely.
So Nadine, do you ever, when you try stuff out, because obviously we both do paid ads, which we totally, disclose, but I know that you're the same, will only ever work with a brand that I've used for a couple of weeks that I truly love.
Yeah.
And have you ever been offered something where you're like,
I've just turned 6 figures down for a natural deodorant.
oh my goodness.
Because I don't believe that natural is better. I don't believe that deodorants are better than antiperspirants. I don't think that antiperspirants are toxic and give you cancer. And I don't believe in clean beauty. 6 figures. Turned it down yesterday.
Did you feel bad doing that?
No. No, my team went, are you sure? They've just come back to us at 6 figures. And I was like, no. No, I literally will not buy into the myth that the
You are
beauty industry is
so
out to kill you.
authentic as well.
I refuse to believe that beauty products are toxic. I know formulating chemists. They're married, they have wives, they have children. They're not out to get you. The beauty industry is not out to get you. I genuinely believe that some of the best beauty products in the world come from the really big conglomerates. So from L'Oreal, Unilever, the Lauder Group. I absolutely do not buy into that sort of slightly, no disrespect, because I've met her and she's lovely, Gwyneth Paltrow goop. I just don't buy into that thing. I don't believe the world's out to get you. I don't believe in conspiracy theories or any of that. So yeah, I regularly turn down work. That's the biggest deal I've ever turned down, and it literally happened to be yesterday. And I went to my management company's party last night, and my 2 managers were like, "She just turned down 6 figures." For a natural deodorant. So basically, the difference between an antiperspirant and a deodorant is an antiperspirant stops you from sweating and a deodorant masks the smell. So basically, I use Secret, who've never worked with me and have never paid me a penny.
They're American brand, right?
Yeah. It's owned by Unilever. Yeah, absolutely. No, P&G. It might be P&G. It's P&G, one of the big beauty companies. And it's brilliant. I used to buy it in America. You can get it on Amazon. And yeah, I used to do like 2-hour reformer Pilates, come back to my desk and still not sweat. Call me up, P&G. 6 figures. I'm yours.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, absolutely. What's the biggest deal you've ever turned down?
What have I turned down recently? It's just faddy skincare, and I'm not very good with fashion stuff. When I get offered fashion
Oh, I never
stuff,
get offered fashion. Nobody's paying
I
me to do
can't,
fashion.
like, honestly, like the thought of doing a reel of me trying out
Temu.
this on makes me feel like it's hard enough. Do you know what? I'm like you. I've got my PR room with all of my bits in, so that some days I can think, right, I'm going to make a bit of content today. Let's try this, and this. And then I'll organically start working with brands. So, for example, I have held out for so long on this. Vita Liberata is my favourite fake tan.
Oh,
Yes,
hello.
it's you can't get better.
Nothing better. I know the founder. She's just bought the company back.
You cannot get better than
It's
Vita
the best.
Liberata. It's the best. So they do the new mousse, then the body blur.
The new face one. This is
the
body
new
blur.
face one. Have you tried the new hyaluronic
It's
acid
amazing.
one? All of their stuff.
She is so smart, that woman, and she sold the brand for millions.
She's Scottish.
She disappeared.
Is she
Is there a
Scottish?
Scottish
I was on the
accent in
phone
there
to
somewhere?
them yesterday. And
She sold the brand about 5 years ago. They repackaged it. It looked terrible. She bought it back for a fraction for what she sold it for. And now the new MPD, it is second to none.
so I held out, and I've been using Vita Liberata for years and years and years and years. Like when I had probably like £30 left, I'd still buy my body blur because you
body
can't. It's like makeup. It
Yeah.
honestly is sensational. Anyway, so then I kept saying to my agent, I'm not doing any other tan than my Vita Liberata, those new drops. And I managed to actually, they told me about her rebuying the company, and she was like, I only want people that have used it for years.
You know, Lorna Lux loves it as well. She's obsessed.
I love Lorna
that. I love
so
Lorna so
much.
much. All the love in the world to Lorna.
I know. Anyway, so stuff like that, I'd prefer to start working with a brand in an organic way rather than, hey guys, here's my new
So
thing.
are you going to work with Vita Liberata?
Yes.
Good. You should do.
They're the best.
They're the best.
The
Second to none.
best.
And why somebody, and it blows my mind, right? Every time I do tanning on This Morning, and I do it once a year, and every year I finish, and they basically have models trying all the different fake tans. And then they go, what are you going to use? And I go, I'm going to use Vita Liberata. And I get my legs out once a year on This Morning, and I show my legs, one leg done, one leg not done. And every year I say, I can't believe that nobody's duped this. It's the best, bar none.
Literally.
It's like a tinted Paris filter in real life for your skin.
Is. I mean, you've got Sally Hansen, but that's very orange.
Hideous.
And it's
That's
not
like an old school pair of sort of American tan tights.
And then you've got the Rimmel Sun Shimmer
Yeah.
was the first.
Yes, that's what we wore when we were at school.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then that was the improved version. But tan is hard. Tan is really hard.
I'm
And
not a fan of self-tan. I don't really use self-tan. But Vita
don't.
Liberata, I will share my
I could
sell
go
my
through
soul
bottles
for. Yeah,
of
I love
that.
it.
Bottles
I
of
love
it.
it. And also, by the time you're my age, your pigmentation, if you've been in the sun too much, which I have, your pigmentation goes slightly patchy. So you get little white marks where you've had an insect bite or something like that. You'll get little white patch and it refuses to tan. Vita Liberata,
Yeah,
supermodel skin over the top.
2 minutes.
Brilliant.
Literally.
Absolutely brilliant.
Have you ever been sent something and you've had high hopes and it's not delivered?
No, because I'm incredibly skeptical nowadays. And I think when I was your age, I've been through that. And this is the one bit of advice I would say to anybody watching this that's nearer Ashley's age than my age is when you're young, you're very full of hope. And you don't think that the beauty industry is lying to you. So you believe everything you're ever told. And I don't think necessarily that the beauty industry is necessarily lying to you, but it could be lying by omission, or it could be exaggerating, or it could be kind of hyping something up, and it could be all marketing. And so basically you get to my age and you're like, I know what works. I've spoken to the dermatologists, I've spoken to the cosmetic surgeons, I've spoken to the aesthetic doctors, I've spoken to the formulating chemists. Slow and steady wins the race. It really, really does. So I'm just going to invest in the things that I know work. And now I just know when a brand drops who to take seriously and who not to take seriously. So there are brands I would buy makeup from, but I would never in a million years try their skincare. And I just think that if a company is selling you something that's 250 quid and the active ingredient is an extract of a plant picked at dawn by Vestal virgins halfway up a mountain in Japan or in France when the moon is full, and it's the only active ingredient they've got, and in clinical trials, and they mean consumer trials tested on like 30 women who are just
in a
subjective,
focus
right?
group,
In a focus group. I just don't fall for that bullshit anymore. Like, I know that you need an SPF, a vitamin C, a vitamin A. I know that salicylic will clear your pores. I know that glycolic will resurface your skin. I know that lactic's better when you're my age. There is literally an arsenal of 15 active ingredients that really work, and the rest is just marketing bullshit. So I don't get disappointed anymore, because I've been disappointed years and years and years ago. Like, you know, I've had my cellulite pummeled to within an inch of life and realised it didn't work, and it probably gave me, you know, broken capillaries. I've had M-Sculpt and it didn't work, because you need to get off your lazy ass and get on a Pilates reformer or whatever you need to do. There are no shortcuts in beauty. Slow and steady wins the race. And if all else fails, go under the knife.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that being, I mean, would I call myself a skincare influencer? Maybe, but it's a lot harder.
I love that you're very optimistic about things that I'm really sceptical about, though.
It's a lot
I feel like
harder.
I want to say, come back to me in 30 years, but you need to find me in an old age pension's home, right? Okay.
I think with skincare, like I said, I have to sit back and try it out. It's not like fragrance. I immediately know, do I like it? Yes or no. A top that I could do a reel and try it on, and there we go, done. Yeah, yes, no.
Skincare, you really need, for a visible difference, you need 12 weeks. Yeah, you need 2.5 skin cycles to show a difference.
Makeup, you know straight away.
You know straight away. Yeah.
And
Cleansers,
you can see.
You know straight away. A moisturiser, you'll know straight away. An SPF, you'll know straight away. But an active ingredient, you need 10 to 12 weeks.
Especially if you're selling something to your followers that say, I don't know, buy this, it's £150 and it'll get rid of all your pigmentation. I know that.
But you automatically know that's bullshit.
I've made this mistake early on, whereby I was selling expensive things, which, they're lovely, but then I need to remember that I didn't buy it.
How many times has somebody slid into my DMs when I've talked about, yet again, when I'm doing my empties, a CE Frolic, which I genuinely think is the gold standard vitamin C. Not pleasant to use, but it works. And I swear I would have so much worse pigmentation without it and sun damage without it. Have somebody slid into my DMs and said, but you do know I can feed a family of 4 for a week with what that costs. That's humbling. And it's the truth.
It's the truth. And then when you get a message off someone saying, I tried it, it didn't work for me. Yeah. And it's like, oh.
And I genuinely take that personally. Like on my Facebook group, somebody said to me the other day, I've got keratosis pilaris and I tried Ameliate and I tried Amlactin that Nadine recommended and it hasn't worked. And I instantly went into it and I went, just a second, how long have you used it for? What are you combining it with? This stuff is clinically proven to work.
Ameliorate works.
Stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. Yeah. Lactic acid body lotions are incredible. Yeah. And if you are on a budget, get Amlactin off of Amazon. It's the American drugstore equivalent.
There we go. What is your advice to young women today who are immersed in social media and, you know, the pressures of being a woman, the financial pressures, all kinds, the beauty standards? What advice would you give to women as consumers?
You've got to be really skeptical about what beauty companies are telling you, because it's their job to make billions. Not millions, billions. The richest woman in the world is the woman that owns L'Oreal. Just don't forget that, right? And I love the L'Oreal group and I love the L'Oreal products. My one piece of advice would be never buy something, whether it's a product or a treatment or anything, on your credit card if you can't pay off at the end of the month without missing that money. Like, nothing is worth that.
It's an extra.
And genuinely, in the 10 years that I've been doing more of the digital side than the magazine side, there's been a revolution in skincare, and high street skincare has never been better. It's thanks to The Ordinary, thanks to Brandon Truax, may he rest in peace. He revolutionised this industry, and I genuinely think high street beauty has never been better than it is now. There's no reason to go into debt to look good.
What would you use as your source of information if you're just starting out on your skincare journey? Is there a book that you'd recommend, or a podcast, or
I would curate my Instagram, right? Okay, and I do think Instagram is better than TikTok, I have to say. I mean, I'm a woman of a certain age, so it's not really surprising. I would go into who Ashley follows, and I would go into who I follow, because it's really easy to find, and I would follow 4 or 5 trusted dermatologists, a couple of toxicologists and formulating chemists to bust myths about that. The brands you know you love, I would follow them. Take things they say with a pinch of salt, but you can do that. I would choose 3 or 4 skincare influencers, a really good aesthetic surgery influencer, whose look you like and whose aesthetic you like. And then I would just slowly absorb the information. And if in doubt, Google it. The whole world is out there to see.
ChatGPT.
Don't chat GPT. Don't AI it. Google it. Ignore the AI that comes at the top, and then look at the first 4 or 5 search engines. And if you can, try to go to a trusted news source. They're hard to find nowadays. But you'll find videos on YouTube, and then you'll find maybe the Daily Mail, and take that with a pinch of salt. Then you maybe find the Guardian or the Times, if they've got that. Like, read, just absorb it. It doesn't take long. Just do a little bit of a deep dive before you do anything. And as I said, genuinely don't go into debt for anything. It's simply not worth it in the long term. It's not.
No. Oh.
And also just appreciate how young and gorgeous you actually are, because you'll never be as young and as gorgeous as you are right in this moment.
I love that quote. That's going to be the strap line of the
What did
episode.
Bette Davis say? I wrote a piece for Fabulous magazine that's coming out shortly about turning 60, because Liz Hurley has just turned 60. And I've interviewed her many a time.
Wow, she looks sensational.
She looks sensational. She works really hard. She does genuinely look that good in real life, because I've interviewed her a number of times. And I wanted to finish with a really funny quote. And my funny quote was, Bette Davis once said, "Aging, it ain't for sissies."
So true. Oh, I've loved having you, Nadine.
Let's do it over cocktails.
Let's. So you can follow Nadine on Instagram. It's Nadine Baggott, and you will see her on your TV and in your newspaper as well. Thank you.
Oh, I've loved seeing you.